Welcome to Classic Countdown Conversations. I'm Daniel Cardiff.
And I'm Corey Thomas.
We're replacing Corey we're replacing Philip with Corey today.
I just got
for a very specific reason. Today is our Endgame predictions. And Corey and I wanted to do an episode together because we don't watch trailers.
That's right. Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
I actually don't remember the first movie that I did this for. I mean, it was back for even The Dark Knight Rises. I was trailer free back then, which that really sold me on the experience. I had a friend out in Phoenix, shout out to Lou, who had kind of toyed with this idea because trailers you get a lot of the action. Mm-hmm. Or in a comedy, you get a lot of the highlights of the movie, right? But you don't get the context. You don't quite get everything. And then sometimes the tone is completely different. So it just, creates weird expectations.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's something I've learned is that,
there. So I remember going into The Dark Knight Rises, I'd completely, not seen a trailer, don't look at the movie posters, literally just kind of a blackout. And the scene where they're at the football stadium and Bane is there, and then...
Mm-hmm. Gave away in the trailer.
Yeah, so I mean, that scene is happening at the theater. I'm there at the the opening night showing.
Yeah,
and the whole stadium's blowing up, and I am just like, oh my gosh! And I look around the theater, and everyone's just kind of sitting there. I'm like, how come no one's freaking out about this? Yeah. But it was like, and afterwards, everyone's like, oh yeah, I saw the trailer.
Right.
And you can generally tell what scenes are in the trailer now. Because you can tell what the reaction of the people is. Like if the reaction doesn't match the coolness of the moment, you're like, that must have been in a trailer.
Yeah. No, same goes for Infinity War. Mm-hmm. Since we're talking about Endgame, the part where my favorite part ever, we've had many discussions about this, when Captain America is holding back Thanos, I was like, I was so blown away. And but it was in the trailer and no one really I wanted to give it a standing. Yeah.
So it's been a number of years now.
Okay.
And you're more recent on the train. What was the first one?
So Corey got me hooked on not watching trailers for movies. I think it was The Last Jedi.
I think you're right.
So not the best movie to start out, but it did. I was sitting there in the part where Kylo Ren is gonna shoot Leia. And he doesn't. Mm-hmm. That's in the trailer, and that's it's in one of the trailers, and the trailer ends there and you don't know. And in the theater, that was really intense. I was is he gonna? Because I think Carrie Fisher had just died.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yeah, it
was kind of emotional,
heavy.
anyways, and I was like, I think I accidentally did it with The Martian. I just didn't see any trailers for The Martian, and then I watched it, and I liked it.
And my rule of thumb is if it's a movie I know I'm going to see, I avoid everything until I see the movie.
Yeah.
But if it's some indie movie or something that it's not a big deal. But for these MCU movies or Star Wars, these big movies that I know I'm going to see it. I don't need to see a trailer.
Right.
It's just going to ruin it.
The one since I've been doing the trailer thing that I kind of accidentally started watching the trailer. I was like, whatever. And I finished it was Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah.
It popped up one day, and I had accidentally watched 10 seconds of it. I was like, it's an animated film. It's fine. I'll watch it.
I think the only time I've broken the rule was the first Avengers movie.
So you did watch trailers.
I was way too excited. And then I regretted it afterwards. I mean, I enjoyed the hype, of watching the trailer. And I enjoyed that, but I regretted it afterwards. So,
has Endgame been the most difficult one since, or was Infinity War worse?
I think Infinity War was worse. Because that was a big, that felt like a bigger. I mean, this obviously has a hype train, but the hype train is really attached to Infinity War.
And I think it's been harder for me with this movie because Infinity War I knew nothing. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's fine. I don't know anything. With this one, I know what the end of Infinity War was, and I know what they have to resolve.
Right.
So it's been hard for me to be to step back and not know.
It's a tough challenge, but it's rewarding.
It is very much so.
And then I go and I binge the trailers after I see the movie, and then I go and read IMDb, and
Yeah,
I jump into all the spoilers and stuff.
See, I have no urge to go watch the trailers after the movie.
See, they're like a great recap of the movie you just saw. I really enjoy watching trailers after.
But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I usually go watch reviews or like that talks about it. So
Shazam was a really good example. We just saw Shazam.
Yeah.
And I thought the trailer tone didn't really match the movie. I went back and watched the trailer afterwards, and I was like, and I had talked to a couple people who were kind of confused about the plot, that's the type of movie it was, and I can definitely understand their confusion with the trailer.
Yeah, and that's another thing, like you were saying, tonal misleadings, or like you may see something in the trailer that you think is going to lead one way, and then you're disappointed when it doesn't do that. So that's why not watching trailers gives you, I think we both agree, the most like satisfying watching of a movie.
Yeah, best way to view a movie is just going in
completely blind.
Yeah. Inception. I mean, there's been so many great movies that I just had no clue. I had no clue what Inception was about.
I don't think I did either. I was too young. I mean, I was younger when it came out, and the first time I watched it, I was like, And the second time I watched it, I loved it.
Yeah.
But so that's us explaining why, if our predictions are completely wrong for this film, we're completely justified.
That's right. It's not our fault.
Nope, we know nothing.
You should try the spoiler-free route. Pick a movie you're looking forward to that you're going to see, and just, it's hard. Especially these big movies, they're on a commercial for it every other.
Also, those of you who are listening, we're filming this episode, and it'll be out on our new YouTube channel, Classic Countdown Conversations. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's the name of it, but we'll see if we can grab that or not.
It'll be out there somewhere.
So, without further ado,
let's get into it.
What are we starting with, Corey?
Number one, just overarching plot. What do we think is going to happen in Endgame?
Where do you think it's going to pick up at?
I could see anywhere within, a few days after the snap.
Okay.
To within 6 months.
It's called the decimation, Corey, officially.
So the snap. So I could see, like almost immediate, and people dealing with the fallout there. So I think we might get a time skip. Yeah. I could see kind of starting with the fallout of the snap, the decimation, and then there being kind of a time skip, of a month or 3 months or even, 6 months.
So before Captain Marvel came out, I was thinking, my theory is it was going to be like 5 years later was when we were going to pick up. But at the end of Captain Marvel,
right,
she shows up. However, that doesn't necessarily negate the fact that it could then again jump however much time, and they don't know what to do, and then so that's what I'm thinking is going to happen is they don't know what to do. And then Ant-Man comes into play.
Yeah, Ant-Man, you got to figure, Hawkeye is going to be in it.
Yep.
And, I mean, a lot of the people have obviously been snapped. They really want to focus heavily on the original Avengers.
And a couple odd choices.
Rocket,
still around. Nebula, and Rhodey.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Mm-hmm.
Very odd kind of supporting roles.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man. Although Ant-Man, he's a little bit more... I can see why they kept him alive as opposed to Rocket is so odd to me, but
yeah, and I think part of that is, the plot is going to be about a few things. I think one, the plot is going to be about resolving the decimation.
Yeah.
How do we undo that?
Or like it could start out like, how do we move on from this?
Like a rebuilding type of...
like how does Earth deal with half their population getting wiped out, and then kind of the plot kicks in later.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 hours and I don't know if you saw
about that.
I don't know if you saw that they officially released the running time.
Yeah, 3 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start their quest until 45 an hour into the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I don't envy the Russo brothers because they have there's a lot of character stuff that needs to happen in this movie. There's a lot of story stuff that's going to have to happen in this movie. There's a lot of future pacing and setting up, which we'll kind of get into that later in terms of passing the torch.
Right.
So I was not surprised at all that this is going to be the longest movie.
So if they reverse the snap,
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's going to be via time travel?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be, reversed as much as it prevented.
Right.
Via,
yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to have to do with the quantum realm? Because that's obviously very well set up at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the door that they've left open in terms of allowing for now. So I think is Ant-Man will time travel.
Yes, I agree.
Through.
He's going to be. That's why I think it's odd, is because Ant-Man, I think, is going to have one of the bigger roles to play in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be the catalyst for the time traveling.
Totally agree. Yeah, so I think we left him, stranded in, the quantum realm.
Yeah.
And they do mention they specifically say something about watching out for a time vortex.
Yes.
So I think he's going to get caught in a time vortex.
Yeah.
Or
he'll get out and he's like, hey, I know of these things called time vortexes that we could possibly use to do. But either way, I think he's going to use one of those.
So I think that will be the time, one of the major time travel elements. Because you also, they have to do it in a way that it doesn't feel, you got to go back to the whole prediction that was done by Doctor Strange, right? There's one possibility that this, will work out in our favor.
That's obviously why he let Tony live.
Right. Yeah. And some of the decisions that he made because he foresaw, right, that this is the only possible chance that we have.
Do you think Ant-Man will time travel to one specific moment, or do you think he's going to kind of
flash around? I could see it being something like either, because the question then becomes, what happens if he's just going to get dropped in a random spot,
right?
So I could see it being something where he kind of like blinks in and out of time, and kind of is phasing through and has these interactions.
What would be fun is if he like phased in and out of time from past films.
Yeah.
Like we could revisit Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
We bring back my favorite character, Quicksilver, if like we wanted to.
Yep.
Like stuff like that. Like go back to the first Thor movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, you know what I mean?
Or like the invasion in New York from the first Avengers, like kind of those big set piece moments, you know, and see it from a different perspective with him being around.
And that would be cool if he went back to the first Avengers movie. Because in the comic books, Ant-Man is one of the first Avengers. Yeah. So, like, he could technically be...
Yeah, I was there the whole time, helping out. You just didn't see me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really fun. So, I think there'll be that time travel element. I think Captain Marvel is going to be interesting to see how they work her in.
Yep.
I think that there will be a degree to where they're having to still battle Thanos, who still has what seems to be a damaged Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Still has, the Infinity Stones. And so, having to prevent him from the undoing.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be kind of like a 2-phase assault where there might be like a time traveling team and like a home and away team. Mm-hmm. Home team's battling Thanos to make sure that he doesn't use the time gem to undo, right, or prevent this. And then there's the away team that's kind of traveling through time to try to...
That would be fun.
I think it'd be really fun.
Well, I think that goes pretty well into our next point. What are... not recurring. Returning. That was the word I kept looking for. Returning characters are what they're gonna play. What roles they're gonna play.
Specifically, we're talking about the characters that were in the in Infinity War that survived.
Yes.
And what role will they play?
Right. We'll get to new players here in a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So basically, the original 6: Rocket, Nebula, and Rhodey.
Yep.
I think that's all. So the remaining 5: Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Black Widow, Thor.
And then we've got Iron Man by himself. Everyone else is kind of gathered.
Iron Man's with Nebula.
That's true.
So let's start with them. How do you think they're gonna first off get off the planet?
Mm-hmm.
Because both ships got wrecked.
Right, they crashed there.
Iron Man crashed Thanos' ship, and Nebula crashed her ship into Thanos.
Yep. I don't know how they'll get out, but I envision one of 2 scenarios. Stark either creates some type of weird shuttle type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Is able to salvage something together.
Yeah.
Or I could see where he's able to at least put together like a communication
And he calls
relay and call someone like Rocket, who's also
Yeah.
has access to that type of
Yeah.
that type of equipment.
Or he could channel into the phone Steve has.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't met face to face since Civil War.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll meet face to face in this movie?
I really hope so.
I do too.
I really want them to have a moment together.
I do too. It'd be great if they meet earlier on and they can have another movie, movies fighting side by side. That would be ideal.
Yeah, I think that's way more important for the character of Tony Stark than it is for Steve Rogers.
Yeah. Yes. Steve Rogers kind of moved on.
Yeah, and always kind of believed he was in the right.
Yeah.
And I think Tony Stark is one that really had to really work through the fallout, of their falling out.
Well, everyone that sided with Tony is now on Cap's side.
Yeah.
Rhodey, Vision, Black Widow,
Yep.
Black Panther, and I guess Spider-Man is disintegrated, but
Yeah, rest in peace.
yeah.
So I think you're right. So I think, Iron Man and Nebula, it's going to be kind of a return home journey
Okay.
type of story for them.
Okay. The whole movie, or
I don't know what other role they'll play out in space. I don't,
right?
You know what I mean? I think they kind of got to get back
Yeah.
before there's really much meaning.
I'm saying, how long do you think their journey will take?
I think through maybe I could see it taking half the movie.
Okay, because we also Thor has the Bifrost now.
That's true.
He could just whisk him, you know what I mean, back down to Earth.
But I don't know that he can. I mean, he can summon the Bifrost, but he relied on Heimdall to be his eyes.
That was before he had Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker has the power to channel the Bifrost.
Right, but he can't see. He doesn't know where anyone is.
Oh, well, that's true.
Heimdall was the one who could see where everybody was. And
but if Tony communicates with them, saying, "Hey, we're on Titan," then Thor could do something.
Yeah.
Thor is the one. I don't know what role he's gonna play. I think he's gonna be a Debbie Downer because I think he's gonna blame himself for not killing Thanos.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he might not have that huge of a role. I think Captain America and Black Widow's parts are going to get beefed up tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of got the short end of the stick, other than the amazing scene where he holds Thanos' hand back.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of pushed off to the side a little bit in Infinity War. They only have 6 minutes of screen time or something like that. So I think they're going to be huge. Thor is the one. I don't know what he's going to do or what role he's going to play.
Yeah, same. I think same with Hulk.
Yeah.
Banner obviously has some utility. Hulk has zero utility unless it's fighting time.
Right.
So I think we'll get. We're still kind of dealing with the whole Banner Hulk duality.
Yeah.
From Ragnarok and
then Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna Hulk out.
Yeah.
Because he didn't in Infinity War.
Yeah. I think what they might try to achieve in this movie is the kind of the final symbiosis where they're both in control
Yeah.
at all the time.
Right.
Right. So they can manifest as Hulk, they can manifest as Banner, but neither of them are locked in the trunk.
Yeah.
Like Banner put it.
Right. And they kind of alluded to that in the first Avengers with I'm always angry.
Right.
But then that's kind of gotten forgotten.
Yeah. Well, and they can in Infinity War, they're communicating. He's trying to bring out the Hulk, right? He's got that whole back.
They're
and
actually talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, but it seems very much like Hulk is tired of being the hammer in the relationship and nothing else.
Right. Which, sorry, Hulk, that's your only purpose.
Yeah.
Is to do that. But so yeah, I think he'll be kind of doing that. I think Thor is going to be depressed.
I could see Thor going on a manhunt for Thanos because he can use the Bifrost, so he's essentially kind of scouring
Thor. But then that's 2 movies where he goes off on his own little quest, though.
Yeah,
that's both Age of Ultron and Infinity War, and then now. I mean, I'm not arguing with you, but that would be I guess that would be consistent with his character.
Yeah, I think Thor's always kind of been right. He's the the one that's the not human one, and the Avengers kind of his own thing.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that. I could see them trying to keep it a little more personal of an ensemble and not trying to split everybody up.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the big reasons why they disintegrated more than half their cast.
Yeah.
Was so they could get down to a smaller group.
Let's eliminate the distractions. Yeah. Like if these guys are alive, people are going to expect them on screen.
Right.
You know, Spider-Man, it's fun to throw everybody into a movie. Like that was awesome. Yeah. But now
you've cut out the fat. Mm-hmm. You've gotten them all together now, other than Tony and Nebula.
Yeah.
But you've gotten Thor was away, Hulk was away, you know, War Machine was doing his own thing. Captain, like you've gotten all of them
Cap
back.
was on the run.
Rocket was off with the Guardians. So now you've got like all your main players in one place. What do you think, Cap and Black Widow? What do you think they're gonna?
So part of that ties into the like, what role are they going to serve after this movie?
Yeah,
everyone, to my knowledge, is kind of contractually done.
Yep.
After this movie, but it also seems like it's too much to end. If you could easily think that after this movie, we'll never see Tony Stark.
Right.
Steve Rogers, Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Black Widow, or Thor. So the question is, what do they just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and these guys are done?
Yeah.
And how much do they kind of leave some wiggle room? And how much do they, try to keep some of them, in the universe?
Yeah.
I think Black Widow and Banner will end up together in kind of isolation.
Okay.
She's going to essentially have, I've lived too much and done too much, and I just want to go into isolation.
Yep.
Banner and Hulk just want to go, be somewhere else and not harm people.
Right.
So I could see them kind of going off into the sunset.
At the end or like?
At the end.
Okay. What do you think, though, like Cap is, like, what role is he going to play throughout the entire film?
I think he's going to be the catalyst. I think he's going to be in terms of like the uniting
stuff done.
The uniting figure.
Okay.
It's just Team Cap. Everyone is just like, well, we got to
no more Team Iron Man. No more Team Cap.
Yeah, there's just Team Cap. And I think part of that, we'll get into predictions around deaths and all that stuff around characters, but I think he will be team captain, so to speak, and he's going to lead the charge. And
what, like, a perfect way, like, that's just like, that's where his character needs to be at this point in the story.
Yep. You want the skinny kid from Brooklyn, right, who was getting
beat up,
tossed around, right, and say, I can do this all day. You want that guy, right, out front.
Right. And I think that's why I love that moment in Infinity War so much. Mm-hmm. Is because it's 8 years of this character.
Yep.
Just like every aspect of him goes into that one moment of like, I'm going to be the last person.
It's something Skinny Rogers would have tried.
Yes.
Even, like, it doesn't matter how futile it is, right? Like, I've got to try to stop this guy.
He'll be the last person standing, even if there's no chance, like, even if there's no, like, reason to, you know what I mean? Like, there's no...
Yeah, all hope can be lost, but that won't matter to him.
So, moving on to another character that survived Infinity War.
Yep, no surprise.
Is Thanos. What do you think our number 3 thing that we're talking about today is Thanos' story through this movie, and then ultimately his fate, what's going to happen to him?
Yeah, I could see a very apathetic Thanos, one who just wants to sit on his farm, kind of ties in the comics, who's just
I hope they do that.
The farm type.
I hope he's retired.
Yeah. He's achieved his life goal.
Yeah.
And so I think beyond keeping the Infinity Stones out of everyone else's hands, he's content to just, rest and watch the sunrise on the grateful universe.
Yeah.
So I think that he is essentially, he's no longer the catalyst of action. He's not the one moving the story forward.
Right.
It's where he was.
The Avengers this time around.
Yeah. So I think they'll switch, and he's going to be the one that the story's happening to.
Yeah.
And he's going to react to that.
Yeah.
But it'll be the Avengers who are driving the story and the plot.
How long do you think it's going to be until he comes into the movie.
I don't know. In some ways, I could see it being right away.
Right.
You know, where it's kind of contrasting the fallout, where he's feeling rewarded,
right,
and you know that he's achieved what he set out to achieve, and then you get the universe reacting to being, you know, halved.
Yeah. So my cousin Mitchell, you met him very briefly.
Yep.
He brought up an interesting thought. He was like, "What if they did this?" And I'd never it never crossed my mind. But what if he starts feeling, because they've really not hyped up, but they really focused in on his and Gamora's relationship.
Yep.
What if he starts feeling regret that she was the sacrifice he had to make?
Yeah.
And he's the one that is like, I need to
undo it all.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting. I don't think they would go that route.
Okay.
But I think it would be interesting to see him kind of, because he's not a proper villain in terms of, he doesn't have evil motives or motives that he thinks
is evil. Yeah.
He thinks he has good motives.
Right.
And so I could see, but part of the journey from Infinity War was, right, it was a test of his will.
Yeah.
Right? Like the greatest sacrifices require the strongest of wills.
Yeah.
You know, and he, you know, says, you know, what did it cost? And he said everything.
Yeah.
So like I could see, I think in some ways that'll be part of his motive to prevent them from being able to undo anything, because it cost him so much and he doesn't want it to be for nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And so even if he could be helpful and still achieve, you know, whatever goals or whatever, I think that he will be, I think that will still definitely play a role in his attitude during the movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be a catalyst for him undoing things. I think it would be motivation for him to prevent things from being undone because of what it cost him to do it.
Right. Do you think he'll meet his end in this movie?
That's a great question. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that he will go into exile, so to speak. Almost like Planet Hulk. I could see them Planet Hulking Thanos.
Okay.
Where it's like, we're not going to kill you because, you know, we don't want to represent what you are.
Yeah, but we're sending you to this other dimension where you cannot do anything. So I'm going to disagree with you. I think he is, but I don't want him to.
So how do you think he will then?
That's the thing.
Do you think they'll time travel and then Thor will go for the head?
So there's 4 characters, maybe a 5th, but I don't think so. The 5th was Captain America. We'll get to that in a little bit. There's 4 characters that I think have the possibility of the story moving towards. That's Thor. That's them changing the past and him going for the head or the arm. Probably the head because they set that up. There's very newly Captain Marvel, which they have kind of set up to be this all-powerful character.
Yep.
I don't like that route.
Yep, agreed.
I don't like that she comes in, you know,
like literally a month before.
Seventh inning of the game and, you know, wins everything.
Yeah. It's more like the bottom of the 9th.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then you go into overtime with, so I don't, but they have set her up as this character, this not entity, but this all-powerful being. The 2 that make most sense to me is Nebula. I think her character arc is heading towards that. There's got to be a reason why they kept her alive.
Yeah.
Because she's such an odd character to keep alive. In my opinion, she's the one of all of them that survived. Where it's like, that's such an odd choice.
She gets the Infinity Gauntlet in the comics.
I think she does. That's why
I think she kills him.
I know. That's why I'm thinking.
Yeah, I could see that.
But the person I want to kill him is obviously Tony Stark. I think character wise, build up wise, I don't know if he's necessarily deserved that. I think Nebula probably more so than him. But following him for 11 years, that would be a nice cap or a nice send off to the character.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is like Doctor Strange said, like first off he said, if it comes to you and the boy,
right,
or the gem,
I'll let you die.
I'll let you die, and then he doesn't. Obviously, Tony Stark, in whatever way it is going to play probably the biggest role in this movie of winning. I would like for that to be being the one that defeats Thanos. So I think it is going to kind of come down to those two.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I think Marvel's smarter to bring in Captain Marvel and make her it's not earned.
Right.
And I think they're smarter than that.
Yeah. Especially the Russo brothers. They're not going to just...
Right. Yes. Exactly. And I don't know. I mean, I think like the thing with Thor is set up, like go for the head.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's down to those four if he dies.
Yeah.
To kind of be the ones. It would be, Lauren, my oldest sister, for those of you who don't know who Lauren is, she said she saw like a joke meme the other day, and it was like Thanos is gonna die because Ant-Man's gonna shrink, go up into his butthole, and like expand. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe something completely out of left field.
I hope that's not it.
not that to that extent, but like maybe someone that we're not even like thinking.
Mm-hmm. I think you might be right about Nebula. I think he'll either be, if they kill him, I think Nebula will be the one to do it.
Yeah.
And it will be like her catharsis of like,
yes.
I could also see Stark and Rogers like teaming up and like essentially kind of keeping him occupied type of thing, and it costs them both their lives, and it gives them their chance to fight side by side.
Right.
Until the end.
Yeah.
But
so on the topic of Captain Marvel, let's talk about new players. Obviously, ones that have been in previous movies, but that weren't in Infinity War. So, Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, Ant-Man. That might be all. That might be.
I think those are the big three.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you think they're gonna play in?
I think they're all gonna play a big part.
Yeah, they have to. There would be no reason for them to save these characters, not put them in Infinity War, and save them for this movie.
Yeah, I think, and we know what happened with Ant-Man. We know what was going on the whole time. We know what was going on more or less with Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. She was out in space, right? Helping the Skrull resettle and all that kind of stuff. What we don't know is what's up with Hawkeye. Like, we know that he was retired. Right.
Well, he's under house arrest, essentially, is what they say.
So my guess is that for him to, I think his family gets snapped.
All of them.
Yes. I think he's the last one. His wife and his kids are dead.
And he has nothing left
He's got nothing left to lose. And he's...
That has to be it.
He's coming back out, and it's just like, whatever happens. But like, if there's a chance we can bring him back, I'm going to do it. But even if not, I'm going to avenge them.
Right. Yes, exactly. And so, Captain America in Infinity War was more or less a nod to his alter ego in the comic books called Nomad.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Winter Soldier they called like the White Wolf or something along those lines. So Hawkeye in the comic books becomes another superhero named Ronin.
Yep.
Do you think they're going to go down that route?
I could see it.
Okay.
I don't think they will go that route as in like, Steve Rogers didn't become Nomad. They kind of alluded to him, right? So, but I think there could be an illusion, just like they did for Bucky and calling him the White Wolf,
right? Maybe like a costume change or something like that, or even like maybe they don't know who he is because Ronin in the comic books has like a sweet ninja mask. Mm-hmm. Maybe he kind of comes into play. They're not entirely sure who it is at first, and then it's revealed to be Hawkeye because that'd be a good majority of audiences don't know that about Hawkeye,
right?
So like to kind of be the big reveal.
But I mean, if you see somebody using a bow, probably going to guess that's
Ronin
Hawkeye.
doesn't use a bow. He uses staff. I think he'll probably use a bow, but I'm just saying at first he might not have, access to it. That's why he goes back to the Avengers Mansion or something like that.
Something interesting, I think, is that kind of jumping off from him, I think he is going to be the catalyst in terms of this is the first time we're seeing the Avengers as Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, this is them now avenging
everything. Half the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, before it was kind of a catchy name. In the first, Avengers movie, you got,
Phil Coulson dying and
and you get, Stark saying like, we might not be able to save it.
Yeah, but we'll avenge it.
Yeah, we'll avenge it. So, but this is them living up to the title of being the Avengers, of like, this injustice will not go without being avenged. And I think that Clint will kind of be that emotional catalyst in terms of like
him coming back. Because like, I mean, a lot of them don't have a whole lot of personal, like Thor has already lost people before the snap.
Yep.
Captain America doesn't have anyone left. I mean, Bucky was lost, obviously. Black Widow doesn't really have anyone.
Yeah.
Hulk hasn't seen people from his personal life in years. Hawkeye is really the one that, like, he's got a family.
Yeah,
and
he had
like,
something to lose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And same with Stark. If they make Pepper have been a casualty, then obviously...
But that won't happen until later in the movie.
Right.
Right, because he's not going to know, other than the people that were with him, he doesn't know what happened, per se.
Exactly.
So I do think there's a good chance that she will have been snapped.
Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
And so I think, in terms of the early catalyst, that will be, Hawkeye being the one who, it's time to avenge all these people.
Yeah. Yes. He might be even the one to kind of get the Avengers off their butts and be like, we got to go do something about this.
Yeah.
Also, not one of the three. Well, okay, Captain Marvel. What do you think? Captain Marvel and Ant-Man, we need to talk about them.
Yeah, Ant-Man, I think, is going to be the time traveling.
Right, I guess we've discussed that
aspect of it. With Captain Marvel, I think that she's going to kind of represent the home team. Okay. If we did the kind of home and away team in terms of the time traveling, I think she's going to be the home team.
So she's not going to time travel. She's going to go up against Thanos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's going to be her role. She'll have enough power to be a, someone who can keep Thanos busy.
Right.
And so I think she'll kind of be the heavy bat for the home team.
Yeah. And I've only seen Captain Marvel once with you, opening night. I 99% sure they never call her Captain Marvel in it.
Yeah, they don't.
Okay. So I think maybe if that happens, if kind of Captain America and the original Avengers go time traveling or something, and they're kind of broken off, I could see that kind of being when they, she's the new captain of this, area of us.
We'll have Captain America over here and then Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I could definitely see that. Which is funny, because they didn't really call her Captain Marvel.
Right.
And then Shazam, they never call him Shazam.
Captain Marvel.
Or Captain Marvel. They can't call him Captain Marvel. Right. But they don't really ever give him a name in that movie either. And that's kind of the joke in the movie.
Right, yes. Because it's gone through so much legal rights on what his name is.
So, ironically, Captain Marvel isn't
called that either.
Isn't really given a name either.
You know what? Like, maybe they've set her up for maybe they've set her up to where, like, the audience is like, she's going to be the one to defeat Thanos. And he just, like, defeats her easily. Yeah. Like, they could go down that route.
Yeah.
That'd be a good twist. Because, like, they did set her up as, like, the end-all, be-all power.
It's your back pocket weapon. You feel like, I've got, we've still got this. And then you use it. And
Yeah. Like, if she's just, like, flying towards him, and he just, like, grabs her head and just slams her down. Yeah. Like, that would be something that most people probably wouldn't be expecting.
Yeah.
And then Ant-Man obviously is going to be, the time traveler. Or at least the one who introduces them to that idea. It would have to be, like, I don't think they would necessarily have to keep him alive. Like, they obviously kept him alive for a reason, so he's going to play a big part. And then another one that's not part of the kind of the big three, but the actor has 2 more films in his contract, is Quicksilver. I mark my words, Corey. They're going to bring back Quicksilver.
We'll get into that. But I could definitely see, especially if they're doing the time travel route.
Yes.
That they reintroduce, so to speak, some of these guys who,
And that's the thing. Like, we could bring back villains. Mm-hmm. We could bring back Abomination.
Abomination's still alive.
I know.
He's just in jail.
You could bring him back. You could bring I don't know why you would, but our favorite Justin Hammer, you bring him back.
Love to see Sam Rockwell return. What about Loki? Do you think we'll get a Loki scene in the time traveling?
I think so. I think like if they time travel back to like the first Avengers, he'll obviously be there. I think his death is permanent.
Mm-hmm.
I think, me personally, I think anyone who died before the snap
is dead. Yeah.
However,
which is unfortunate for all the Asgardians.
Yeah. But there's a line in Infinity War. Thor says, Thanos wiped out half my people.
Mm-hmm.
Valkyrie and Korg and all of them were never seen.
Right.
I wonder if some of them escaped.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been, I know a lot of people have talked about that. I think there was essentially, they split up to try to save people.
So they could come back
Thor
as
and Loki and Hulk were on one team,
right.
And
Heimdall and But so they could come back as players as well. I don't know how big of a part they play, but if they need to kind of get this ragtag team to kind of go up against Thanos, they're totally they're open.
Yeah, especially with Valkyrie.
Yeah. Same with villains. I think Red Skull. We've established that he's back now.
Yeah,
and now that he doesn't have a stone to attend to,
right,
he could probably do whatever he wanted to. Yeah. I think there's a lot of characters that we've kind of either forgotten about or not even thinking like that they'll come. Yeah, have a role.
I think they'll have a few surprises for us.
Yeah.
We've got 21 movies.
Yeah.
to work with.
Right.
We could see Obadiah coming back from I call back to the very first MCU movie, and get Jeff Bridges to come back, which would be cool.
We could go back before Rhodey got plastic surgery and see Terrence Howard. Or even, I guess Thunderbolt Ross, they brought him back recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know if they didn't show him if he died or not, but it'd be cool if they brought back Abomination. Like, we need a heavy hitter against Thanos, and Hulk's not doing us any good. Who's like someone that we could go see if they're still alive, and then Abomination's like underground or in that ocean prison that's in
the raft.
The raft, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay.
The big question. Number 5.
Who's gonna die, Corey?
Who will die?
Well,
Captain America
and
Iron Man are gonna die.
I like Captain America's 100%.
Yeah.
Like I don't see any outcome of this movie where
he doesn't die.
Like you were talking earlier, like leave some wiggle room.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with all the other characters. Captain America will not have any wiggle room at the end of this movie.
I think Thor will have the wiggle room.
Yeah.
I think they'll send him to resettle Asgard.
Okay.
Right? Hey, Odin says, Asgard is where our people are.
Yeah.
And there's still half of their people left, right? They survive. So I think Thor is going to say, I need to go and lead my people and settle them. So I think he'll be out there, right? Like, you're not going to expect him ever, but if they really wanted to do something, they could.
Dredge someone back up.
Yeah, they could do it.
Our ratings are going down. Who should we bring back?
Yeah.
Thor's still alive.
And I think the same with Hulk and, or Banner and, Black Widow. I think that they will be out there, but don't ever expect to see him again.
Yeah. I think Iron Man has a good chance of dying while avenging.
Yep.
I think Captain America is going to die about 2/3 of the way in.
Yeah.
And it's going to really tick Tony off. And he's like, that's going to give him his final push to go finish this thing. Yeah. And I think he'll die finishing it.
So
I just got chills thinking about the ending of this movie.
So if he dies, what does that mean for the character of Spider-Man? Right? Because we have Stark as kind of the father figure to Peter Parker in the MCU.
I guess we'll find out in 2 months when Far From Home comes out. I don't know. Unless Far From Home takes place, I don't think it takes place before Infinity War.
I don't think so.
So it's kind of a spoiler, but I don't know. I think he'll have to deal with it.
Do you think that they'll have a scene?
Actually, I don't think. Well, we'll get to it in a little bit. I don't think he'll have to deal with it.
I do think Stark will die. Yeah. I think in terms of active plots, that's the active, right, where he is most active outside of this movie, is in the Spider-Man stories.
Right, yeah.
And I think that would create another compelling thing for the next couple Spider-Man movies in terms of dealing with that, right? And he just felt like he had gotten kind of a father figure.
A new one, yeah. Because it's alluded to the fact in Homecoming that Uncle Ben hasn't been dead for too long.
Right.
He said something like, not everything she's been through recently, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think Uncle Ben's been dead for too long. And then, just now getting this new father figure and then having him plucked away again.
Well, and his suit, like, there's a lot of ramifications. If Stark just is gone. So, there's, I do think that, he'll die.
Yeah.
But I also would really like to get a moment with him and Peter Parker again. Like, I
an overlap somehow.
Yeah. It would be a shame to never get to see them on, share a scene again.
It would be that scene where Spider-Man disintegrates.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about how Pepper might be Tony's kind of motivation, but Spider-Man might be as well.
Yeah.
Like that's like kind of Spider-Man's biggest, I'm sorry, that's Spider-Man is kind of Iron Man's biggest failure is
yeah.
And again, like Spider-Man would have gotten disintegrated. Like
right.
He would have
disintegrated
no either way, but he wouldn't have known the kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's kind of his biggest, if you notice in that scene when he disintegrates, Tony starts looking at his own hands, waiting for him to go as well, and he doesn't. Tony's gonna have so much baggage in this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, he was the death of the Avengers. Like it's his fear since Age of Ultron. And then I think another one who I think will die is Hawkeye. I think.
I don't think he'll die.
Really?
I think he'll be reunited with his family.
I don't think so.
And I think there'll be enough of a toll already that like they want someone to end up with what they want or what they deserve.
Yeah. I mean, there's like two ways you can look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's either like, and I would be completely devastated if this happened, but I think it would be very poetic, and that's if like the 6 original Avengers all die.
I would be very sad,
and I don't think it's gonna like I don't think it's gonna happen, but I wanted to, even though it would make me very sad. I think there's something neat about bookending them.
Yeah,
with this
as a
movie.
Team.
Yes, with no room. No wiggle room.
Yeah.
First off, it would be like, wow, okay, the MCU definitely has like stakes now.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are dead and they're not coming back.
Yeah. Which you could do without all of them dying.
You could.
But
for sure.
It
but
certainly
like,
is a way to.
It's just like a big statement. Like,
yeah,
they started as a team and now they're gonna all end as a team. I would be down with movies for a long time. Like I wouldn't go. I probably wouldn't see Far From Home. I'd be like just too sad. But I think there is something like there'd be something unique about that. But if you don't go that way and you have some that survive, I think what you were saying was like you think someone needs a happy ending. I think you could either go with Hawkeye being reunited with his family and the rest of them not, or you could have Banner and Black Widow.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them go. I think it's going to be one of those two. Thor's kind of the wild card. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think he has an obvious out of going to help settle Asgard.
But I also think like, okay, if you're not going to have the gonads to go to make all 6 of them die, at least go with the big 3. Have the big 3 go out fighting, avenging. Like I think there'd also be
who's the third, Hulk or Thor?
Thor. I think. I mean, Hulk was absent for however many years. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of gone.
Here's the thing about Thor. I feel like him dying does less for his character than him living. I think we are introduced to Thor as he's about to be anointed king of Asgard, and he's cocky.
Yeah,
just wants fights. And I think we've seen over 7 movies him where he's about to really truly be king of Asgard.
Yeah,
and he'll understand the price that it had to be paid and what it takes to be king, and it will be not a joyous moment for him, but one that is very
melancholy.
Yeah, very solemn, very but he knows the responsibility that he has to his people.
Yeah,
and he'll finally be worthy to be king.
Right.
And so I think that there's a lot more that his character that we'll get from his story by him actually living than him dying.
Unless if all the original team dies. Like if you're gonna go ahead and do 5 of the original 6, just go ahead, just do all 6.
Just round it off.
Except for maybe Hawkeye. I could see maybe if they kill off the big ones, then being like, Hawkeye can go have a happy ending.
I know. Going back to the Hawkeye thing, I think I would like for him to still be around and have his family, but I could also see it coming down to either it's going to be me or my family.
Exactly.
And
that was
there's no choice. I'm going to bring back my family.
That was another point I was going to make. Or maybe it's his, this whole last year, it's been like in my mind, like Captain America's death will be the final punch or final push that Tony needs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll be Hawkeye's death that will give the team their final push. Because Age of Ultron, the one thing that it did really well was show that Hawkeye has a lot bigger of a role to play in the team than he even thinks he does.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of see you see that a lot in Civil War. Like as soon as he kind of leaves, kind of the voice of reason is gone, or there's no one to kind of play mediator and stuff like that. So I think it would hit home a lot harder than you might realize it would if his death was kind of the one, end of Act 2, his death is the one that sets up Act 3.
I could see that setting up especially for Cap.
Yeah.
Where if Hawkeye dies, where that really, because Cap really knows what it cost him, right?
Yeah.
His family and everything else.
Yes,
I could see that
exactly. And I feel like there's always been a certain interaction between Cap and Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That's been more mature than a lot of the other interactions between the group.
It's a little of the can you believe we're just two dudes? And
exactly. And they've never really had that conversation at all.
Right.
But it's kind of more just they have a respect for one another, and you can kind of just see that. And I think obviously characters he's closer with Black Widow and Thor and those people, but Hawkeye would kind of be a one out of left field where it's I did
it'll be a painful one for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what do you think about, real quick, Rocket, Rhodey, and Nebula
in terms of surviving?
Yeah.
Well, Rocket, I think, will survive. We're gonna have a Guardians 3, so
okay.
I think he'll survive.
Okay.
I could see it where he doesn't. Right, in terms of his character, where he's been a very selfish character, and I could see him having a final journey of learning to be selfless and costing him his life.
I think his arc is going towards that.
I think so, but I think that could happen in the third Guardians.
Yeah, but they kept them all. Because here's the thing: if you reverse the snap, or if you prevent it from happening, then Rocket doesn't matter either way, if he lives or if he dies in the snap. The fact that he lives leads me to believe that he's gonna play some sort of role that's important.
For sure.
And I think his character arc is it's on the downward slope to ending, and I think it's gonna be him giving his life somehow.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they've kept Rhodey alive for so long. Maybe he's a Skrull.
He should have died in Civil War.
He should have, I know. That would have given that movie a little bit more weight to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe just for the Stark tech.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? So we can still have a flying.
Maybe if Stark dies, that way we still have an Iron Man as Rhodey. I don't know. I could see him. Well, I don't know. Back before Captain Marvel came out, I was like, someone's got to be a Skrull. That's why they're introducing the Skrulls. And that could still be...
Yeah, I was so mad with how they did that in Captain Marvel.
What? That they were
Skrulls
good?
Were all good guys.
Yeah.
So stupid. So political. Stop it. Disney, do you hear me? Stop it. You're making things worse.
But yeah, I maybe someone is, and I feel like he's the one that fans would not get mad about being a Skrull. I don't know. I don't know where that plot line would go, but
Yeah, because I mean, yes, if they're setting up for like a secret invasion or something,
Exactly.
But I don't think that they are after Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah,
I would like a secret war.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then Nebula, I could see her living. Mm-hmm. I could see her.
She's always been kind of a tortured soul, and so I could see this being like her chance to finally live.
And then her leave.
Yeah.
And that's the last we see of Nebula.
Yeah.
Just go off and live your life.
I could also see her dying and it being like, I've never really lived anyway. This doesn't cost me anything.
Yeah, that's true.
And so like, I'm willing to sacrifice myself because it's, you know, I'm worth the least, right? In her eyes.
Yeah.
So I think she could definitely go either way.
Yeah. Ant-Man's not going to die.
No.
And Captain Marvel's not going to die.
No.
So that gets them out of the way there. Okay. Those are deaths. And then we've talked about Thanos. Yeah. Cap's going to be a tough one.
I think I wore it to Infinity War. I have that cool Captain America hoodie. I think I'm going to wear it.
You wore it because you thought he was going to die.
I wore it, yes, because I thought he was going to die in Infinity War. And so I think I'll have to don it once more for Endgame.
And I think, and this is a little cheesy. I thought of this probably like 2 months ago. But I think it would be a very good send-off for the Captain America character. If when he dies, it shows him in some sort of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets his dance with Peggy.
Mm.
I think that would like lighten the mood enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they'd make Disney be willing to do a scene in heaven. Like they would make that jump. But I think there could be a reference.
It could be that ballroom that he sees in Age of Ultron, something like that.
Something afterlife-y.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that would be that would kind of be an aspect of his character that's always been there, but hasn't really had a ending to.
Yeah, no resolution there.
Yeah. And I think that'd be like, it'd be like, oh, like
he finally
got what
that.
he wanted.
Yeah.
He got what he deserved. Even though he's dead, like he finally is at peace.
Yeah.
I think that would be a kind of a neat little send off for that character.
Yeah, I can see that. So number 6, new characters, completely new characters that they will introduce.
We can just speculate now.
Yeah.
I guess this is all speculation, but who do you think, like, do you think they'll introduce a hero or a villain?
I've wondered. I don't think that they'll tease mutants. I don't think there will be any X-Men tie-in.
Okay.
I think that the deal was done too recently, and I think they've got a long roadmap, and I think they don't want to mess that up. Yeah. I think they'll figure out something else to do with them. Okay. But I don't think that the X-Men will, within the next 5 or 6 years, be incorporated into the MCU. So I don't think it'll be any of the X-Men.
Okay. I don't either. I'm just going to get that out of the way.
Yeah, I could see it being the problem with the villain is like, man, who do you introduce in terms of like as a real threat?
Well, so
after Thanos on a big scale.
Well, so here's another. I was going to talk about this when we were talking about Thanos, but I thought I'd save it for now. What if Thanos isn't like the main antagonist in this film? What if like he goes and retires?
Mm-hmm.
And that like has opened the gateway for something like, and I don't know. I'm just off the top of my head, like someone like Galactus,
right? To
just like come in and be like, now that Thanos is out of the way, now that, there's not many people to stop me from like coming in and destroying Earth, like I'm going to come eat it. And then like, it would be a really like turn of events if Thanos had to like team up, like be like, oh, we have to stop this larger threat.
Yeah.
Again, I don't see it going that way, but
it would be interesting to do. I don't know that they would do this because of the rights. I don't know how that would work out, but it would be cool to see them tease Galactus and Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And kind of set that up for this Devourer of Worlds is coming.
Yeah, that would like Silver Surfer come to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's like I've seen it before. It's a picture from some comic book. and Thanos is like on this platform thing, and he's almost like in this council of these larger characters. Okay. I don't know if that's in the Infinity War comic or not.
Scene.
But I think Galactus is there, like the Living Tribunal is like all these larger characters. I wonder if like Thanos is going to have cosmic ramifications for his actions.
Yeah, because I mean they already did Ego,
right?
So they could kind of bring Celestials,
exactly, or that type of idea. King the Conqueror would be a fun one to see as well. Maybe at the end or something like that, or Doctor Doom or something like that. Mm-hmm. But what about heroes? Do you think they'll introduce any new players into the mix?
I don't think they'll introduce any new heroes.
Okay.
Other than maybe like a shout out to, again, I could see a Galactus where they talk about like this thing that's devouring, and there's always a harbinger type of like, where like they're not shown, but they reference Silver Surfer and Galactus. I don't think they'll introduce anybody new.
Okay,
but they could. But I feel like there's so much to do already.
I know
in this movie.
I know, but there's 3 hours.
I know.
Like there's so much. I think they'll save Adam Warlock for Guardians 3.
I think so too.
However, it is set up.
Yeah.
So if he does come in, it's not out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have talked about how much I love Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
That'd be like a fun character. There's a character that I love. It's called the Black Knight. That I think I don't think he would have a role to play in this movie, but I would love to see him come to the MCU. I had an old toy of him. I was actually going to bring him.
And you did.
I didn't. I think Silver Surfer would be another one that would be possible.
Yeah, because you can do him with or without
Galactus,
and without the X-Men, like,
right? Or Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
No. I guess Fox it did just get finalized, so it would be difficult to even bring in like the Fantastic Four or anything like that. But
yeah, it would be interesting to see Spider-Man eventually kind of team up with Reed Richards as the new.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, I think there's too much to do. I think obviously Adam Warlock is kind of the big one that's kind of just been hanging out there.
Right.
I think they're going to save. It'll take too much exposition to get him and have significance. So I think they'll save him for the third Guardians.
Sylvester Stallone could come back. He's not new, but they could bring him back.
That'd be fun.
Nova is another one. They've established the Nova Corps.
Yeah,
we know that Xandar was decimated by Thanos. Like, if he kind of comes back for a little revenge, subplot, that would be a fun way to bring that character in as well.
Yeah, that I could see that him being also in Guardians 3.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to be in Guardians 2, or maybe the first one with the Nova Corps. I think he may have supposed to have been in that. But moving on to how we think this movie will end.
I think it will be a Return of the King style ending, where there's like 3 endings.
Okay,
because there's just a lot of things that got to tie
resolve.
Up. Yeah. So I think we'll get that type of ending.
Okay.
I think we'll see Thor leaving to resettle Asgard.
Got to have funerals for all the deaths that we're going to have.
Yeah. I think we'll get Banner and, Nat leaving.
Yeah, okay.
And I think mostly they're just going to kind of do the old Irish exit and just kind of leave, and somebody will know what's happening, but like they're not going to kind of announce it. It's just going to kind of be like, I could definitely see it there, the ending kind of being at a funeral for Captain America, and Stark or something like that. Like there being a funeral scene, and Thor saying, it's time for me to resettle my people.
Right.
I'll always be a friend to Earth, but I have my own things to do. Nat and Banner just kind of being like, I think it's time that we just do what we need to do. Get out of here. Get out of here. And I think, I think that will be kind of the major ending scene. But I think we'll have kind of a few that they get wrapped up.
So I agree. If they go that route, I agree. It'll probably be stuff like that. I had a thought. So we've been introduced to, alternate realities or other dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
What if our heroes don't succeed at reversing the snap or preventing it or whatever you want to say? And what if we just jump over to an alternate reality where all the people who got snapped away are the ones who lived, and all the ones who lived were ones that got...
Is this your Rick and Morty? Just
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like we're just gonna jump in another timeline.
Yeah,
and,
well, because I feel like if this Far From Home movie is after, I feel like they probably don't want to deal with because everyone's gonna be super sad. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like Peter would be sad if these characters died. I don't think they will want to deal with that. Like, spend their runtime for Far From Home dealing with the aftermath of Endgame. I feel like they'll just want to jump right into a new story,
mm-hmm.
and I don't feel like that's very... I don't even know what the word would be.
Yeah, I think
that wouldn't be right to do that.
That's the next movie up, right? Is Far From Home. I think that, when we had the first Avengers and then we had Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was around, him dealing with,
right,
the fallout from the first Avengers movie. I think we'll get some of that in,
but it wasn't,
Far From Home.
It wasn't anything Pepper didn't die.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were saying earlier, Spider-Man's father figure, if Tony goes,
right,
that's his father. I don't think he'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to go on this next adventure and, not care. I don't know. I think it would be an interesting ending. Like, no one would expect that for our heroes to fail again.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't fail in defeating Thanos, but there's maybe they realize
they can't undo.
It's inevitable that Thanos is to do that. So I don't know. I think, but then that causes a problem because you have Ant-Man and Captain Marvel, who didn't, go away, and then you'd have to be jumping back and forth between. So
yeah,
but I think,
and I think most people, anytime you do time traveling or alternate dimensions, like people who aren't sci-fi fans typically just it's a bit of a magic wand in terms of storytelling, pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think they're already, because I think they will have some time travel element to it. I think that they aren't going to push on that too hard in terms of recovery, from dimensions and stuff like that. But
yeah, it was just a thought I had. I was like, what if they end it non-conventionally?
Yeah.
They kind of do something weird like that. Because they did get rid of all the people that have franchises still.
Yep.
I mean, and that's why I'm thinking maybe all the people that are left, other than Ant-Man and Captain Marvel, are gonna just die. Rocket, Nebula, the main Avengers. Maybe that's just how that will bookend, and then we literally just start a new chapter where they don't even have to deal. Yeah. I mean, they'd be dealing with
essentially swap.
Yeah,
where it's we're gonna replace our lives for theirs type of thing, and everybody else comes back and they don't.
Right.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I don't know if they'll go that way. I don't even know if I want them to go that way.
Yeah.
But it would be an interesting concept. And that leads nicely into our next point, passing the torch. How do you think that's gonna? Mm-hmm. I think what I was saying earlier, this movie kind of be where they finally call her Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
It could be after Captain America's death.
Yep.
Then be you're going to lead us now type of thing.
Yeah, I could see it being from his death or from being home and away team.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
But I think I do agree that she could get her official name in this movie.
Yeah.
I think that there will be kind of a passing of the torch of Stark and Peter Parker.
Okay.
I could see there being a video send-off type of thing where Stark records a video
to Peter.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their last scene together. Like maybe they never see each other face to face.
Yeah.
But
I think I could see him kind of putting him in charge of some of the Stark stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I think that in general, Spider-Man is going to be the new, the new Iron Man. Yeah. So I think kind of that is then, a torch that they've set up, the relationship, the father-son type of, thing. And I think that it would be a way for them to also preferably pass the torch from, the first, major run of the MCU to the second.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, no matter what, moving forward, this universe is going to look a lot different.
Yeah.
Going to be a completely new team.
Yeah.
It'll be Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Wanda will probably still be there.
Yeah.
And like Ant-Man.
Yeah. And I think they could create the Defenders.
Yeah. That's true.
And so, they will essentially retire the Avengers, and the Avengers will always be remembered as this team.
Yeah.
And then this new team will be the Defenders.
Right.
Other than that, I think that, that is the main torch passing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But
that and the Captain Marvel, obviously, and then, Spider-Man. Doctor Strange would obviously be able to take on the more cosmic stuff. So Thor, that'd be a good kind of Thor character. Black Panther would be more of the ninja, Black Widow and Hawkeye parts, and then Ant-Man would be kind of the muscle, since he can grow now, be kind of the Hulk of the team.
But Captain Marvel will kind of be the...
That's true.
I think could be the muscle. And also a bit of the galactic romper.
Yeah.
Just can travel around. And
that's true. She kind of crosses over into a few different areas. But yeah, it's gonna be sad. I might step away for a little bit.
Yeah.
After Endgame. This like kind of, that was a good... not forever. I'll obviously jump back in, but like, I don't know. It'll be so emotionally draining that
it'll really depend on how they end it.
Yeah.
And I do think that they could have one character that returns for another movie or something like that, just as a bit, just to feel like there's a little bit more of a blending.
I think that's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I think that's going to be him.
I mean, of like the big four.
Maybe Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I guess he's not one of the big four, or Thor. You think he might go away, but yeah.
Like I could
Nick Fury.
I could envision a Captain Marvel going and visiting in the new Asgard, and there being a scene with Thor or something like that,
or Nick Fury.
Yeah, I think Nick Fury might die. We didn't bring him up, but I think he might.
He disintegrated though.
I know, but I think he still might be undone.
Okay. He is getting old. Yeah. You can't keep him on forever. Although he seems to not age.
It's true. And generally, other than Captain Marvel's side, he hasn't been...
he's been out of it since Age of Ultron.
Yeah. He's not big roles, typically. He's, he was with
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Yeah. But...
and some of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
But yeah,
when he was kind of needed for facilitating the Avengers.
Right. Now that they're coming to their own, he's not.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll need someone to facilitate, the new.
Yeah, and I could see them trying to make the change, right? Of like, hey, we need to do something. We need to be more proactive about this type of thing,
right?
So let's less about avenging something and let's just defend it.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Let's go out and prevent things from happening.
Right. That's how they kind of tee up the Defenders, and I think that's also in terms of like the team torch. I think that's how it could be passed.
That's a neat idea.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just kind of the next phase.
And speaking of things that like probably won't continue on, we got a Stan Lee cameo.
Yep.
He might be in Far From Home. I don't know. I don't know if they...
I think I had heard that this was his last cameo.
Really? Okay.
Endgame. This is Stan Lee's last cameo. So yeah, number 9 is
Stan Lee.
What is our Stan Lee cameo prediction?
I hope one of our heroes saves him.
Mm-hmm.
And they just have a little moment. And I know they didn't know he was going to die beforehand.
Right.
But even in Captain Marvel, they had a little moment. She went down and they kind of they nodded at each other.
Yeah.
Which was weird. Because after the fact, I was like, oh, that's nice that they did that. But I was like, they didn't know he was going to die beforehand. So I don't know, being saved, I think. Or maybe even like pedestrians kind of come into the thing somehow, and then like him save one of the heroes. You know what I mean? Like something like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, this isn't going to be a humorous movie.
No,
at all.
I know.
But
Infinity War did have humor in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely probably the darkest. That and Winter Soldier were probably the two darkest ones we've had so far.
Yeah.
But there was still humor in it. I kind of hope there's like no humor in this movie. I really do. I hope it's just like a dour. Yeah.
I could see it being at the end. So like in Civil War, his cameo was kind of at the end after all the tension's been removed. I could see a similar type of thing.
Yep.
Where they're not trying to, shoehorn it in during all this. But,
Yeah, he's like, maybe he's giving a speech at their funeral.
I was just getting ready to say, what if he's at the funeral? How sad would that be? But yeah, I think that, so if I had to make a prediction in terms of a Stan Lee cameo, I think I would put it towards the end.
Okay, after you're probably right.
The majority of the tension's been removed.
Yeah.
I like to think that there could be kind of a moment shared between like an actual meaningful moment and not just a joking moment.
Right.
Between him and one of the heroes.
Yeah, him and Cap or him and Stark, something like that.
Yeah. Or even him and like, I don't know if he's going to be in it, but, does he give the great, with great power comes great responsibility to Spider-Man?
Yeah. That'd be neat. That's going to make me tear up. Oh my word. This movie is going to be so draining.
I know.
But yeah. Oh, and another, Stan Lee's been introduced as like the Watcher guy. So we could get like another cosmic, nod to him.
What if he just shows up and saves, like, just stops Thanos?
He's
just like, no.
That'd be awesome.
And
he's like touches him. He
gauntlet.
He doesn't even disintegrate. He just like gets wiped from existence.
Oh,
that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Because what do they call him in the comics? The one above all or something like that.
Yeah, where it's just like a hand.
A hand. Yeah. Is that supposed to be him or is that Steve Ditko?
I think it's supposed to be Ditko.
Okay. All right. But.
Yeah, it could easily be him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then our last point that we wanted to touch on was post-credit scenes.
Yep, number 10 is post-credit scene. I think there's two directions they can go.
Okay.
They can go shawarma.
Okay.
Where it's just like a nice little throwback.
Oh, you think they'll be eating shawarma? Like
no,
actual?
I'm saying like a scene like the shawarma
scene
after the first Avengers movie. Or they could do, the typical like, Adam Warlock introduce somebody, or it be kind of a setup to,
or
it would be fun to do. I mean, the very first post-credit scene was,
Nick Fury
showing up at Tony Stark's place, and inviting him to talk about the Avengers Initiative.
That's why, like, I think Marvel has the power to get some people together and go film something, because they did it with the shawarma scene. They did it at like the premiere.
Yeah, they had the premiere and then went and filmed
it.
This because they were all together for the premiere.
I think it's possible they could, in a post-credit scene, do something with the X-Men or the Fantastic Four.
It's possible for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't have to be in it, and so it's just like you just teasing it, right? Nick Fury with a folder that says the X-Men on it or something like that.
Well, and because at the end, because we don't know, maybe like history.
People would lose their minds.
I know.
People would lose their minds if they tease the X-Men at the end of Endgame.
Because like we don't know how this is going to end. Thanos or the gems or whatever could literally rewrite history.
Yeah.
To the point where mutants have been around the whole time. Stuff like that.
Or caused by this whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah, or caused by it or something like that. The Fantastic Four could have maybe gone on like a mission back in the 60s.
Yeah.
70 years has passed in our time, but only like a day has in their time. And they come back and they're like, we're back now. And then like, it's...
The Fantastic Four you could just kind of set up as like they just now come around, right? Where they go out and they have this incident and they, get their powers.
Exactly.
And stuff. But the X-Men, like you'd have to be like, where have they been? How do you explain?
Exactly.
I think you could do something in terms of like the Infinity Stones are destroyed, but that energy like...
caused mutation.
Yeah, it caused some mutation.
Or even do that through time travel. Like they go back to the first Captain America movie or something.
Yeah.
And it's like some of some of that power
serum.
gem, dust wore off and went on, a guy named Logan, what I mean? Something like that. So I think it's possible. I don't know. I think they'll probably definitely, because they do this a lot, where they just set up the next movie.
Yeah.
So they could do something for Far From Home. Just,
Yeah. I feel like they won't do something like that because it feels like such a small scale story compared to Endgame. Okay. So like to tease something that's like
small
about one character
right
afterwards is kind of like, So honestly, if they do, I could see the X-Men or something like that where they just tease it. They don't show anything other than they, reference, hey, these are,
You what would be cool is if Nick Fury was like, maybe like our new Avengers team goes off into space. They're like, we're going to go fight Galactus or something like that. And then he's like, we've been in talks for a while. I'm going to need that team of yours. And then just like, you have Nick Fury in the left corner of the shot in the back. And then just like a wheelchair like rolls up into the forefront.
Yep.
And you just hear like, maybe it just ends there. Or you hear like they've been training or something like that. And then it ends there. Just like they've been in hiding. The mutants have been in hiding.
Time for all that money we put into your special school to start, paying dividends.
Tony's been giving you guys funding your school for a while now.
Yeah. So I think it'll be one of three things. It'll either be something like a shawarma scene where it's just kind of a fun, let's remember everybody together type of thing. It will be an introduction to something like the X-Men.
Yeah.
Which would be, people would lose their minds.
Right.
And then I think number 3 would be teeing up the Defenders. Like they teased up the Avengers.
With like Galactus or something like that, or King the Conqueror.
It doesn't even need to be introducing the villain as much as it's like they could essentially be Fury or somebody having a conversation and them saying like, I think it's time that, we moved on from being Avengers to being the Defenders. And like, that'll be enough to spark the nerds to know like there's going to be a new super team and all that kind of stuff.
Or maybe there's nothing.
Or maybe there's nothing.
I thought...
Maybe they're just like, thanks for 22 great movies and,
The Avengers will not return.
Yeah.
Like at the end.
Times.
Because that's why I thought they were going to do Infinity War. Because they don't have a mid-credit scene.
Yeah.
It's just that last teaser for Cat Marvel. And I thought that... I was like, that's so great. It just ended like... Don't... And the Cat Marvel thing's fine. But yeah, maybe they just won't do anything. Maybe it'll be just a thank you card.
Yeah.
In memory of Stan Lee or something like that.
Yeah. So I had a dream like a week or two ago that we were seeing Endgame.
Okay.
And the first 10 minutes was essentially like a mini documentary with Stan Lee.
Oh.
And it was like, we know that this has been a real journey, from the first Iron Man to here. And we wanted to take some time before the movie starts to just talk about it and, how we got here. And it was like Stan Lee kind of walked everybody through the characters and why it was such a special journey and then kind of thanked everybody. And then it was like, thanks, Stan. And then like it went into the movie and everyone at the theater was just like, like, they loved it. They weren't expecting like a little 10-minute documentary beforehand, but they were like,
they're happy.
They were super happy about it. And I was like, oh man, that's so cool that they did that before Stan Lee died and everything. And then I woke up and being like, if there's not a 10-minute Stan Lee documentary in the beginning, I'm going to be really sad. But if there is, I'm Nostradamus.
So, you're a prophet.
Yeah.
That's funny. I keep having dreams that it's awful.
Those are nightmares, not dreams.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. Now nothing left to do but go see it here in a couple weeks.
Man.
What a time to be alive.
I know.
I've always said that if I had a time machine, one of my first stops would be me visiting 5-year-old me with a poster from the first Avengers movie, being like, it's going to happen, dude. It's going to be everything you ever dreamed. You just be excited. Then
after Endgame, you go back and you're like, don't stick with it. It's too sad.
We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully there's, I'm fine with it being sad. They're feeling like, bittersweet.
I am too.
I kind of hope that there's a sense of bittersweetness.
Yeah, me too. But all right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
That's right. First video podcast.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how it goes. I'll edit it and I'll see if I want to keep doing this or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for your support. Go follow us on social media platforms. give to us on Patreon.
Look them up on Patreon.
Yeah.
Become a patron if you're not already.
Corey is, and he
I'm
can.
a patron.
And
see what happens when you become a patron? You
it's
end
a
up
bunch
in the chair.
Yeah,
You become the guy in the chair.
You really are our best friend.
See, proof.
Thank you. We love you all. Have a good week.
See everybody.